Today I had a goal of coloring all my animals that are going to be featured in the prologue of the game, Finding Nazareth. Please enjoy the video and my ramble as I work on this project and try to figure out what color palette I wanted to use. The issue with most Christian media and entertainment is that it targets a very specific group, Christians. Non-believers usually don't watch movies like God's Not Dead. While this may happen, it's rare and is usually used as a source of mockery. The whole movie is one big lesson in morality and faith, which is fine, but it's preaching to the choir. Christian media is constructed in such a way that it only appeals to Christians. It's like trying to get a football fan to go to the local Comic-Con instead of the Super Bowl. The title of this video is What Would Make a Good Christian Adventure Game? I wanted to talk specifically about Christian video games, but that would be a little restrictive as most of the Christian games I know of look like what you're seeing on screen currently. Rather, what could make good Christian media? I believe that is by not making it just for Christians without compromising your beliefs. Take the movie Silence. Spoilers. It was directed by Martin Scorsese, who describes himself as a lapsed Catholic, and viewing the content of some of his films, you quickly understand what he means by lapsed. Yet this movie offers a real and compelling story of faith. Christian ministers go to Japan to help secretly bring in the Christian faith to Japanese villages. Eventually, Japanese villagers and the main priests are captured by the Japanese government that is at odds against Christianity and the ministers. They go through horrible torture. The main character, Rodriguez, is told the way to spare the lives of the villagers is to denounce his faith. Eventually, the main character gives in and steps on a plaque as a symbol of apostasy. The rest of the movie is about his life in Japan as he is under a sort of house arrest, able to live out a life there without being able to promote Christianity publicly. Almost in a poetic nod to the lapsed director, he must work for the system of government and the Antichrist agenda by preventing Christian religious artifacts to come into the country. But craftily, he lets some of the items slip by. He dies, and the movie reveals he remained a believer the rest of his life. Though there is a question of his salvation as he denied his faith, it shows how even a man who could be lost eternally continued in faith he knew was true. This is a movie that takes faith seriously. It has a question of faith in difficult trials, but it doesn't shove it in your face and plaster it up everywhere with a big sign saying, "Look at us, God movie this way." Even if Rodriguez is not the ideal man of God, and even if this is technically not a Christian movie, it presents us with a compelling case of the difficulties of making hard decisions when what you believe and how you feel like you need to act are at odds with each other. It's real, and it would even get an atheist to question what he would do in those situations. It's not just about faith also, but stories need to show the real character of God, something you may not find in the movie Silence, as it's more of a human's response to faith. But as Andy Gears said, a game that focuses on the awesome character of God is automatically going to be more engaging than one which tells them how to behave. And that is the issue we face with most Christian media. It's a morality guilt trip. But the thing is, no one gets saved because of their works. We come to Christ at the understanding of our total helplessness and our need of a Savior. And this is where I'm going to say that I hope my game can do this. I don't want a game that only Christians can play, like those endless trivia ones, repetitive and find and seek, or children's storybook games. I want a game that will be story-driven, engaging, and hopefully you will find a way to relate to the struggle of the main character. And also, allow you to come to know Christ if you don't already, and be strengthened in your faith if you do. It is not going to assume you believe, but it will invite you to do so. You may think, while watching Silence, why would anyone want to be a Christian? This persecution would be too much to handle. But it is the experience of crushing under an anti-Christ government that actually shows how faith is true. Why would people really experience all that just to stay loyal to a God they never met? And at that, a God that allows them to go through these situations. Because they really believe it. But not just that. They know that the greater witness and testimony of their faith is staying faithful through trials and tribulations. And this is something that has happened in history. The greater witness is their faithfulness through persecution, which led others, either secretly or knowingly, to realize the truth of the gospel. Sadly, this isn't depicted in the film, but it is still the often side effect of martyrdom. With a few minor tweaks, I think this film could have been one of the most successful, non-cringy, officially labeled Christian movies in a long time. And even when commercial success is not the priority, what it conveys would be that crowning glory. Happily, I move the conversation to the video game medium. Yeah, that's right. The number of well-made Christian video games out there is a number not too far from zero, and even what there is good luck finding them. While there are indie games on itch.io and other platforms, these seem incomplete or copies of other well-known games. But I'm happy people are trying. And you can see this in the list of Christian games people make. People are desperately wanting something with substance. They include any and everything into these lists. There are some like Adam's Venture and 5 Guardians of David that take this theme seriously and don't add cheap gimmicks and are not trying to be something the biblical themes are not. I have not had very much experience with these games, so I will hold off on commenting on them too much. Also, there are a few that I'm interested that are coming out and seem to understand the difference of preaching to an audience versus delivering a message through a compelling story and gameplay. And maybe you disagree with me, I don't know, but that's okay. I'm also wanting to say I'm not judging anyone's movie's preferences. This is not simply about quality, but presentation to an audience. How can we reach the unbeliever effectively, showing them that Christianity can be a serious theme in modern art mediums without compromising our beliefs? Bible X, 1 of 500, The Serpent and the Seed are 3 Christian adventure games being worked on, and they look like they are being taken very seriously. I'm very excited for these games, and I hope that they deliver well. There is also the well-known I Am Jesus Christ, but I'm cautious on their intentions with this game. You can find the links to the resources in the description below. Also, if you'd like to read a write-up that goes into more detail on what could make a good Christian game, check out the link in the description. You see, we are not just simply inserting God into a game or angels into a game or the idea of a spiritual place into a game world and calling it a day. What makes a good Christian game is character, human needs and desires, people who have a realistic and true way to demonstrate their relationship with the Creator, failures, struggles, victories, helplessness, mercy, and so on. So how am I going to attempt to do this in this project properly? Samuel is a blind child that works on his family's olive farm. He assists his dad with some ease, but needs occasional help. His dad is suspected of plots against the Roman Empire, and he's arrested and put on trial and executed. In the meantime, Samuel must assist his mother, who is grieving the loss of her husband. He hears of the starting ministry of Jesus and the miracles he is performing, and decides to sacrifice his comfort and safety at the farm to pursue the Messiah to receive his sight, allowing him to be a greater help on the farm to assist his family in a difficult land in a difficult time. Through his experiences and difficulties, you will need to make difficult decisions and choices. Yes, there will be subtle choices to how you respond to this, and this will affect the ending of the game and ultimate motivation of your characters as he gets closer to his goal. You will meet people who you may not trust and seek to understand what it is you would truly value and are willing to sacrifice for. What would it be like to live in that time period as a child unable to see? This is what I want you to experience while you play this game. It's not just, let's find Jesus. It's what are you willing to overcome for the truth you are seeking. As this project is a one-man crew, I am using assets and models that have been provided for using a similar 3D low-poly art style that I want to go for. During this devlog, you see me tweaking and adapting these models to be used in the game. That way, I believe they will work to create this involved story. I want to teach people about the history in a way that isn't over the top. We subconsciously pick up and learn about the world in all types of ways. How often do you do a search? How accurate is such and such movie that claims to be based on a true story? I want to deliver that to you, give you information, and let you learn in a natural, smooth process of information reception. I'm striving for, as best I can, historical accuracy, though this isn't to say the game will take itself completely seriously. As with most point-and-click adventure games, there needs to be humor, and this will surely be included in the elements of the story and the puzzles. Humor, story, compelling characters, the reality of the world, and a message that doesn't make you feel like you're missing out because your life isn't a hyper-fictionalized and corny version of Christian faith. This is the surface elements of what I think will be making this a good Christian game, able to be played by anyone of any belief without compromising the gospel of Yeshua. Let us take up spiritual arms to make good Christian entertainment that is not corny or cheap versions of other media. We need to present bold, real, and compelling stories or ideas to an audience that is more interested in processing information than being told what to believe. After all, we cannot force anyone to come to Christ. Why do Christian movies, the main Christian media outside of the music, seek to do that? Because they are looking at it from the perspective of giving the message to an already believing cultural group. But what about those who don't believe? Video games and movies should not be treated the same way Christian music is. People go to Christian music to experience worship. People don't watch a movie to worship. You don't play a game to worship. We want to include God in our life, which one could say is a form of worship, but the difference is that music is about a religious experience, but movies and games and books are entertainment. That's all for this episode. It would be helpful if you could like and subscribe, and if you share it with those who you think this would be interested in the project. On a side note, though I don't show much, this was the busiest day I've had yet on the project, not just coloring all animals, but also adding to the armature to each one. Now they are ready to animate, and for my next goals, I'm moving on to learning Unity, the game engine that will help me make this project come to life. I have no plan for regular updates, but I hope to have at least one a month, and hopefully with an interesting topic like today.